everybody, Tony here with your weekly vlog. And this week was a very special week for me because this week I celebrated my birthday. That's right, 37 down, 38 is on the way. It was an incredible year. 37 was really good, and I think it started off good because I was intentional about some of the goals I set. This year, I wanted to try something really different for me, and I decided that the whole year I wasn't going to hit the snooze button. That's right, I was a chronic snoozer, something I developed from my wife. Some would even say she infected me with the snooze button. I'm just kidding, but I didn't used to hit the snooze, and then as Karen and I started doing life together, snooze just became easier. And what I realized is that it was preventing me from doing some of the things I wanted to do in life. You know, getting up, getting the day started, being intentional about the way that the day started. So this year, cut the snooze out completely. Now, was I perfect? No, I wasn't perfect. As a matter of fact, there were a couple days where I didn't hit the snooze at all, but I also just turned off my alarm and just went back to bed. And obviously that's not ideal, but sometimes life isn't perfect and we have to just roll with the punches. It's about keep showing up. The other thing that we did this year is read through the Bible in a year, and that was an incredible gift to myself for my birthday. Second year in a row we've done that. Another reason that this week is such a big week for me is that this is the week that I celebrate my sobriety. That's right, for those of you that don't know, I stopped drinking 5 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long, actually. 5 years ago, I made a conscious choice, challenged by a group of friends when I was working in the recovery community, to stop drinking. Now, people always ask me, Tony, did you have a drinking problem? And the answer I usually give is no. I didn't have a drinking problem, but I had a stopping problem, right? Like I would drink, and then if I'm going to have 2, I might as well have 4. If I'm going to have 4, I might as well have 8. If I'm going to have 8, well, you get the picture. Might as well just do them all. So what I realized is that I was using alcohol to cope for the stress in my life. And so when I stopped drinking, what I quickly learned is that I still had a coping problem. Right? Because you can't give up one coping mechanism and then expect everything to just feel better and go away. And so my lack of coping skills challenged me to be intentional about what I was going to fill it up with. Right? Because if you think of your life in the idea that when stress happens, you are naturally going to look for a way to respond to the stress. So what ends up happening is we look for coping mechanisms that help us deal for those moments when life feels overwhelming. Now, some coping mechanisms in life have been wildly accepted, right? It's almost a everyday joke about soccer moms, minivans, and boxed wine, right? Really, that's a coping mechanism. Retail therapy is another example of a coping mechanism. Food for me has always been something that I struggle with as a coping mechanism, right? If I'm going to have 1 slice of pizza and I'm going to cheat on my diet, I might as well have 2 or 4. Sound familiar, right? Most of our coping mechanisms will take the place of similar things that may or may not be good for us. I know a lot of us will use seclusion as a coping mechanism. I'm just going to go in my room and shut the door. The question I have for you today is, are those coping mechanisms pushing you towards or pulling you away from the goals that you desire in your life? Right, if you think about the things in your life that you want most, your big dreams, your objectives, are those coping mechanisms helping you? And if the answer is no, then I wonder if it's possible to look at something different. Is it possible to intentionally fill your life with things that help you stay on track? For me, one of those things is reading scripture every day. That's how reading the Bible got in there. I have a coping mechanism that includes working out, where I try to do that 2 to 3 times, 4 times a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less. I give myself grace in that coping mechanism, which is probably a coping mechanism unto itself. This week, I just want to challenge you to take a couple of minutes and journal, jot down, think about what you're doing in your life to deal with stress. How are you coping? What are you intentionally putting in there? And if you don't have a plan for stress, let me challenge you today to make a plan. Stress is always going to happen. The question becomes, how will you respond? Hey, thank you so much for listening today. A little bit of a longer vlog. I hope that this information is helpful to you. If it is, like the YouTube channel, subscribe, share it on any of your social media channels. I would greatly appreciate it. Have a great day, guys. See you next week.